Good evening, students.
Good evening, ma'am.
How are you, all of you?
Fine, ma'am. How are you, ma'am?
Fine, ma'am. How are you?
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening. Just waiting, ma'am, Akila ma'am to post me. Just wait.
Okay, ma'am.
So are you ready for tomorrow's exam?
Yes, ma'am.
So well prepared?
Yes, ma'am.
Only one is answering. Remaining people?
Few left, ma'am.
Only one. Who is the two people who answered? Remaining? Illa? No preparation?
Prepared,
Huh? So your scheme will be, you will be getting 22 multiple choice questions tomorrow, 6 3 marks questions and 2 5 marks questions. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, ma'am.
So prepare well for MCQs very properly. Don't do like last time. All of you.
Okay, ma'am.
Because
Okay, ma'am.
today we'll be starting new chapter, that is our environment. So we are left with 2 chapters. Okay, our environment, and the other one is natural phenomena, no?
Natural resources and sustainable development, ma'am.
Natural resources and sustainable. Actually, our natural resources and sustainable development you will be getting only in your periodic test. You will not be getting in a board. Whereas our environment you will be getting in your board according to the revised syllabus. Okay? Shall I start?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, nobody's answering.
Ma'am.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So what
Yes,
you know
ma'am.
about the environment? You can see the slide.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So what you know about environment?
It is a place where all the things can live, ma'am. Living and non-living.
Surrounding
Chat together, ma'am.
It's a place. It's a place, or we can call what we can call it as
biosphere.
Ma'am, growth and survival of humans and other things takes place.
yes. The interaction between biotic and abiotic. If I go in scientific terminology, biotic means living organisms. Abiotic means non-living organisms. Okay. So in this chapter, we'll be discussing about the environment. What are the biotic factors, abiotic factors, how we are damaging our own environment. Due to that, what were the harmful effects will be usually harmful effects of what we are doing as a humans. Okay, all this we'll be discussing in detail. Okay, it's a very small chapter. We'll be completing in 2 classes, and 1 class will be for the just to go through the question answers in the textbook. Okay, so our environment. So before going to the our environment, what is the effect? We need to know what is a waste. Okay, we usually dump waste to our environment. Before we go in detail with the environment and ecosystems, we will be talking about the waste which we dump into the environment. So we as a humans will be producing lots of waste, and most of the waste will be trying to throw into the environment. It can be a land, it can be a water, it can be a air, whatever it is. We will be causing a pollution, means harmful effects to the environment. So we all know what are the, can you just give examples what we dump in land, air and water?
Sewage.
I'm not able to hear you.
Sewage, ma'am.
Sewage into?
River. Water.
Yes, that we cause water pollution. Any more?
Ma'am,
Ma'am,
garbage is on land, which causes land pollution.
Yes. Any
Um,
more? A?
Smoke from factories.
Yes, smoke from factories, from vehicles. So these are all the waste which are non-biodegradable. Sometimes some of them are not even degradable. Okay, most of them are biodegradable substance which may be harmful pollutants itself. Means waste, all the waste cannot be considered as a pollutant. Okay, vegetable waste is not a pollutant, it is not a harmful pollutant. Or a waste from cow dung or anything from agriculture, those are not pollutants. They are waste, but they are good, but they are not harmful to the environment. Okay, whereas some of the waste like plastic, all these which are not biodegradable, means which cannot be further degraded by a effect of microorganisms. When we dump into the soil or when we dump into the water or anything, usually whatever the waste we dump, usually it will be affected by microorganisms. Means the microorganisms act on them and degrade them into further smaller substance, so that again they will be utilized by the plants, and again the cycle goes on, food cycle goes on. But some waste are there where which cannot be degraded by the microorganisms like plastic and all those. So based on that, based on what is the type of the waste which is produced, the waste is divided into 2 types: biodegradable waste and non-biodegradable waste. If the waste are decomposed, okay, if the waste are decomposed, if the waste can be decomposed into a harmless substance by the microorganisms, such a waste is known as the biodegradable waste. Okay, whatever the waste, either we dump it into a slag, water, or even sometimes in the air. If they can be degraded by the or decomposed by the microorganisms into a harmless substances, they are known as biodegradable waste. The most common ones are, as we know, they are vegetables, fruits, pulses, cereals, cotton, goes on. Okay, whereas non-biodegradable, these are actually like a not a man-made waste. Biodegradable are not a man-made waste. They are either the waste from plants and animals. Okay, Whereas not biodegradable waste are the synthetic waste, which are man-made, which are not prepared by the environment, okay, or organisms present in the environment. They are man-made. They are not natural, they are artificial. So the waste which cannot be decomposed by microorganisms into further smaller substances is called as the non-biodegradable waste. Examples are all the plastic bags, polythenes, synthetic fibers, glass, some metals, rubber, insecticides, pesticides, etc. All these are the non-biodegradable waste. Can you people name a few more for one biodegradable and non-biodegradable waste?
Ma'am, biodegradable. When humans are there, they are biodegradable, ma'am.
Yes. Non-biodegradable?
Ma'am, minerals, ma'am.
Some minerals, not all the minerals. Okay.
Ma'am,
Paint.
some minerals like iron, steel.
Yes.
Ma'am, paint.
Paint also maybe, yes. Okay. So please note down the difference between biodegradable waste and non-biodegradable waste. This is one of the more important 3 marks answer. And also please note down the examples over here, what I gave in the previous slide. Examples are not there, but at the end you need to write the examples. So biodegradable waste, the waste that are broken down by the naturally by microbial action are known as biodegradable waste, whereas non-biodegradable waste, the waste that are not broken down by microbes are known as non-biodegradable waste. So biodegradable waste usually forms harmless and non-poisonous products, whereas no such action is possible, and due to that the substance may be poisonous and harmful to the nature. So they release raw materials back to the nature. Whereas non-biodegradable, they never release any raw materials back to nature. They pollute the environment only when they produce in quantities beyond the capacity of the environment to degrade them. Means what it states is smaller quantities does not harm the environment. If the quantity is very large enough, sometimes because they can be degraded, cannot be degraded by the microorganisms immediately, those may be harmful to the environment. Okay. Whereas non-biodegradable waste will be always pollute the environment, and whether it is even in the smaller quantities also. So here bioconcentration does not occur. Bioconcentration means here they will not be piled up. Okay, they will not never be piled up. They will be always immediately be gone, degrading themselves. So they will be never a pile up. Whereas non-biodegradable waste becomes piled up, means they become concentrated. When due to that, it may transform from one trophic level to the other trophic level in the food chain. Okay, that we'll discuss about the biomagnification in further slides. Next, recycling is possible both by naturally and by even by artificially, that is by human effects. Whereas non-biodegradable waste, for example, the best example is plastic. Recycling is possible, but only due to human effects. Naturally, it cannot be degraded or recycled. Hope you understood, all of you.
Yes, ma'am.
Any doubts still here?
No doubts, ma'am.
No doubts, ma'am.
Have you copied?
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, 1 minute, ma'am.
Examples also, please write down the examples also.
Okay, ma'am.
Shall I move on?
Ma'am, 1 minute.
Finish?
Yes, ma'am.
So that is about the waste. Now we will talk about the ecosystems and about its components. So what is the environment? The definition, this is the definition for the environment which is given in your textbooks. The combination of all the physical and biological conditions affecting the response of a living organisms is called as the environment. So what they are trying to say is the physical as well as biological conditions. Physical conditions means temperature, heat, cold. Biological conditions means our metabolic rate, how our body temperatures are maintained. All this will be affecting the living organisms is called as the environment. So in environment, we usually have ecosystem. So what is an ecosystem? An ecosystem consists of all the living organisms in an area along with the non-living organisms and their interactions. So in the ecosystem, we'll be having a ecosystem means it's an area, means in the ecosystem consists of living organisms in an area along with the non-living organisms, and also we'll be studying about the interaction between the living and non-living organisms. For example, if you take your school is a small ecosystem. If you all of you belong to suppose all of you belong to DAV public school, okay, so DAV is a one small ecosystem for you all. Okay, it has you people are the living organisms, whereas the bench, chairs, the climate in your school premises, all this is a non-living thing. And how you interact with them means how the temperature influences, or how the heat influences your body temperature, or how the wind conditions influences the trees which are present in your school premises. So all this is called as an ecosystem. So for example, Chennai has its own ecosystem. Now if Bangalore has its own ecosystem. Now if we take countries, India has its own ecosystem. America and Australia may be having its own ecosystem. So each area will be having its own ecosystem based on the geographical location and the type of the living organisms present in that geographical location. Okay, so what this is the definition for the ecosystem. An ecosystem consists of all the living organisms in an area along with the non-living components and their interactions. Okay, so the ecosystem is broadly divided into two types: artificial ecosystem and natural ecosystem. Okay, artificial ecosystem means it is also known as man-made ecosystem. Artificial ecosystem is also known as man-made ecosystem. Like example, agricultural fields, aquarium, okay, zoo, all these are the man-made ecosystems. Whereas coming to the natural ecosystem, in case of natural ecosystem means the ecosystem that exists in the nature. Okay, again the natural ecosystem is divided into two types: aquatic ecosystem and terrestrial ecosystem. Aquatic ecosystem means water ecosystem. Terrestrial ecosystem means land ecosystem. Okay, So aquatic ecosystem again can be further divided into freshwater ecosystem and marine ecosystem. So marine ecosystem consists of seas and ocean, whereas freshwater ecosystem consists of rivers, lakes, ponds, and pools. And you all know that for terrestrial ecosystem is nothing but a land ecosystem. So it contains forests, deserts, grasslands, etc. Hope all of you understood.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Yes,
Any
ma'am.
doubts till here?
No doubts, ma'am.
Shall I move on?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So coming to this is an ecosystem. This is a broader view of the ecosystem. Now we will be talking about the components which are present in the ecosystem. Means what is present inside this ecosystem. Whether it can be a land, whether it can be aquatic, whether it can be a marine, any type. Okay, what are the components present in the ecosystem? Whether it can be artificial or it can be a natural one. So the components usually present in the ecosystem are abiotic components and biotic components. Abiotic means non-living components. Biotic means living components. So the non-living components usually are air, water, and land, whereas living components are plants, animals, we human beings, etc. So these biotic components again are further divided into producers, consumers, and decomposers. Producers are those which produce the food, mostly the plants. Consumers which depend on the producers for their foods. For example, again the consumers are divided into herbivores, carnivores, parasites, and omnivores. Herbivores means, as you know, they are grass-eating animals, example, cow and deer. Carnivores are the flesh-eating animals, example, lion and tiger. Parasites are those which depend on the other organisms for their food, example, Plasmodium. And omnivores are those which can depend both on the plants as well as animals for their food. Example is the crow. Next, finally, decomposers, which decompose this organic material, which is leftover organic material, which will be recycled and again utilized by the producers. Okay, we'll be talking about this in detail in the next slide. Hope you understood, all of you. Have you taken it?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Shall I move on?
Yes, ma'am.
So now coming to the abiotic, as I told you, all the non-living components we'll again discuss later. Whereas coming to the biotic components, all the living components such as plants, animals, bacteria, fungi, etc. forms the biotic components. So as we have discussed, again they are future divided into producers. So what are producers? All the green plants and blue-green algae which can prepare their own food material using abiotic component, that is the photosynthesis, by utilizing sunlight and by process known as photosynthesis, they can prepare their own food material. So they don't no need to depend on other organisms for their food and nutrients. Such organisms are called as producers. The best examples are green plants and blue-green algae. Whereas coming to the second one, that is the consumers. So all the organisms which depend on their food directly or indirectly on producers are called as consumers. Please remember, organisms will depend on the for their food or nutrients directly, or it can be also indirectly. On producers are called as consumers. So consumers are again further divided into herbivores, carnivores, omnivores, and parasites, which we have discussed already in the previous slide. So herbivores are nothing but the plant eaters. All the goats, deer, sheep, all comes under the herbivores. Giraffes, all these. Whereas carnivores, as we know, these are the flesh eaters, which depend on herbivores for their food. Example, tiger, crocodile, lion, all these comes as the carnivores. Next, omnivores are those which depend both on the plants as well as the animals for their food. Such are known as omnivores. Best example, we the human beings, and also the crow, dogs, all these comes as the omnivores. Next comes the parasites, which live on the body of the host and take food from them, means which depend on the host, depend on other organisms for their food, as well as deprive the other organisms from making its own food, means it makes the host organism deprived of nutrients because it will be sucking all the nutrients from the host organisms. Such a type of animals are known as parasites. Example, lice, which we see in the hair, cuscuta plant. If you have seen a plant in this way, 1 minute. If you take, this is the plant. Always you can see a small a green thread like, a yellow thread like thing on this plant. You can see mostly in the highways, or also you can see in your neighborhood also. Just observe it. This plant is the green or yellow color one is the cuscuta plant. It depends on this green plant for its food and nutrients. Means the green plant is the host plant, whereas the cuscuta is the parasite on this plant. It will be taking all the nutrients and everything from this plant. And also due to that, the plant becomes the plant will be deprived of its own nutrients, and they may sometimes the plant may also die. The green plant may also die because the parasite, that is the cuscuta, is taking all the nutrients required for it from this green plant. Such a type are known as parasites. Another example is the lice, which we see on the inside our head, where the lice will be sucking blood from our blood vessels. Next, finally, the decomposers. So the decomposers include organisms which decompose the dead plants and animals. The best example are the bacteria and fungi. And these decomposers, what they will be doing is they will be able to replenish the resources. Means that if a leaf is decomposed, what it will be becoming? It will be again be degraded to carbon, nitrogen, phosphorus, or whatever it is. Those minerals again will be reabsorbed by the plant. So decomposers plays a very important role in the recycling process of the recycling of the nutrients in the food chain. Hope all of you have understood.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Any doubts still here?
No doubts, ma'am.
Have you noted it down, all of you?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Shall I move on to the next slide?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
These are simple. You have already, I think so, you must have studied all this.
Yes, ma'am.
So, importance of the decompose. This is again one of the 3 marks question. They will maybe asking indirectly. So in whatever way they ask you, please write down all this. So decomposers helps in the disposing of waste and dead bodies of plants and animals. Thereby they help in the cleaning the environment and create space for the living of a newer generation of the organisms. They also, in the second point, you can see they also release the minerals and other raw materials trapped and these can be taken up by the plant, and they also help in maintaining the fertility of the soil. Some decomposers also produce some acids which help in the solubilization of some minerals. So mostly they help in the recycling of the materials in the biosphere. Thereby the life will be going on and our food chain becomes an unending food chain. Understood? So please write these points whenever they ask about the decomposers with examples. If they ask you for the 3 marks answer. Any doubts? Any doubts?
No, ma'am.
Clear, ma'am.
No doubts, ma'am.
Okay, shall I move on?
Yes, ma'am.
Now we'll talk about the, till here we have talked about the biotic components. Now we are going to talk about the abiotic components. So what does the abiotic components include? We know that abiotic means non-living. Please remember, abiotic means they are not having any life. They are non-living. So what all they include? They include all the physical as well as climatic factors. What are the physical factors? That is edaphic factors like soil texture, geographical topography, water, and air. Inorganic substances like carbon dioxide, nitrogen, oxygen, water, phosphorus, all these also is a part of the abiotic factors, whereas organic compounds like proteins, carbohydrates, and lipids, which are connecting link between the what we can say between the biotic and abiotic components, are also the components of the abiotic factors. In addition to these physical environmental factors, we also have climatic factors like sunlight, temperature, pressure, humidity, moisture, rainfall. All these factors will be able to affect the distribution of the organisms, means how well the organisms are well distributed in that area. For examples, can you give me examples about the climatic factors? For example, if there is a hot sun and little rainfall, that is a desert condition. So what type of animals can survive in that ecosystem? Answer, all of you.
Ma'am, bacteria which can withstand heat, ma'am.
Go for a bigger multicellular organism.
Camel.
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 Any more? Rats, desert rats. Okay, so all these is
Ma'am, snake.
as snakes. If we go to plants, what are those we can tell?
Cactus.
Cactus, plants. So these can be growing so in a hot desert conditions. Okay, the desert ecosystem. So these factors greatly influence the distribution and as well as the existence of the organisms in the geographical area. Understood?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Any doubts still here?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
So please note down the functions of the ecosystem, all of you. It may come as a 3 marks question. So what are the functions of this ecosystem? Ecosystem indicates the available solar energy and efficiency of an ecosystem to trap the same. It gives information about the essential minerals and their recycling periods. It provides the knowledge how the interactions or interrelations takes place between the various populations, that is whether it can be plants, animals, bacteria, whatever it may be, between the population as well as between the biotic and abiotic components. Okay, so it helps the human beings to know about the conservation of resources, protection from the pollution, and also inputs required for maximum productivity. Next, two process of energy flow and biochemical energy cycles proceed side by side. Means there will be energy flow from one tropic level to the other tropic level, which we'll be studying, and as well as biogeochemical cycles. That means nitrogen cycle, carbon cycle, oxygen cycle, phosphorus cycle. Means the nutrients will be recycled, continuously be recycled, and usually these nutrients will be reabsorbed by the plants. So in these two processes, that is energy flow is a unidirectional process. Only it will be going in one way only. That we will be shortly studying. Whereas the movement of the cycle, nutrients, that is the biogeochemical cycles, nitrogen cycle, carbon cycle, etc. Those are the examples of biogeochemical cycles. Their movement is cyclic process. Have you studied about nitrogen cycle?
Yes, ma'am.
So how it is? It's a cyclic or unidirectional process? It is a cyclic process, if you remember. If you remember, atmospheric nitrogen to ammonia, ammonia to nitrate, nitrate to nitrates, again back to ammonia, and from ammonia to again atmospheric nitrogen. That is the nitrogenous cycle, whereas energy flow we'll be discussing shortly. Have we noted down?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am.
Shall I move on?
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am.
Next, coming to the food chains. So it's like a paths in this chapter. It's like a paths. Okay. First, we have completed about the waste, biodegradable and non-biodegradable waste. Next, we completed about the ecosystems and the components. Now we'll be talking about the food chain. So what is a food chain? A food chain is nothing but a flow of food energy from one organism to the next organism, again to the next organisms, and so on. So flow of energy from one organism to the next organism is known as the food chain. So please remember, always the food chain starts with the producers and ends with the carnivores. Understood? And usually, mostly it is unidirectional. Means wherever the produce, always the starting will be a producer, ending will be a carnivore, and one organism depends on the other organism for their food. Means one in a food chain, one organism gets food from the group of one type of organism. So, if, for example, I have given you here 4 different types of 3 different examples. So please remember. So always the base point will be a producer. Or here you can see. 1 minute. Not able to get my pointer. So always the starting will be always the producer. Okay, the producer are nothing but the plants. Next comes the primary consumers. Consumers are again usually divided into 3 types. Please remember, consumers are divided into 3 types. Primary consumers, secondary consumers, and tertiary consumers. Or you can also go to quaternary consumers also. Okay, so producers are only one and they are only green plants, whereas consumers are divided into different levels like primary consumers, secondary, tertiary, and quaternary consumers. So primary consumers means mostly herbivorous animals only. All the herbivorous animals usually come as a primary consumers, whereas secondary consumers, it varies from food chain to food chain. It can be, in some cases, it can be of a lion directly. In some cases, it may be a frog. In some cases, it may be other things. So again, tertiary consumers are those which depend on the secondary consumers for their food. Quaternary consumers are those which can depend on the tertiary consumers for their food. So the food chain usually have one producer and a simple food chain. A simple food chain usually have one producer and one consumer. But as it may extend even to, the food chain can be extended even to 5 or 6 levels. Okay. So here I have given you 3 examples. So the first example, grass. Grass is a producer. Deer depends on grass, which for their food. Deer is a primary consumer, whereas the lion depends on the deer for their food. So it is eaten by the lion eats deer. Deer is eaten by the lion as its food. So here the lion is a secondary consumer in this type of a food chain. Whereas in the second example, again you must be seeing, again the grass is the primary producer. It can be a grass, it can be a tree, it can be a shrub, it can be a herb. Always the producers are the plants. So the grass is eaten by insects. Okay, here insect is a primary consumer. Next, frog, the insects are eaten by frogs. So frog is a secondary consumer. Whereas frog again can be eaten by snakes. So snake here is a tertiary consumer. But again in the third example you can see, again grass is a producer, whereas moth is a primary producer. Moth is nothing but a small butterfly larvae type. Frog depends on the moths. So here frog has become a secondary consumer. Snake will be next coming as a tertiary consumer, and hawk will be coming as a quaternary consumer. So it's you can see how the energy is flowing, starting from the grass, ending with the hawk. How many levels the energy is being flowing from one organism to the other organisms. So this is called as a food chain. Hope you have understood.
Yes, ma'am.
Can you give me examples?
Ma'am, for what, ma'am, examples?
Food chain. 2-3 me
Food chain.
examples, your own
Okay, ma'am.
examples.
Ma'am, from grass to rabbit, ma'am.
Grass to rabbit, okay.
And then rabbit to a tiger, ma'am.
Huh?
Ma'am, from rabbit to tiger, ma'am. Tiger may hunt a rabbit and eat, ma'am.
Tigers may hunt a rabbit. Snake, you can tell.
Okay, ma'am. And then snake can be hunted by a tiger or a honk, ma'am.
Snakes may be humans. Okay. Any more? Any of you? One more example.
Ma'am,
Ma'am.
ma'am, from grass to goat,
Yes.
from goat to fox,
Yes.
and from fox to bear.
Fox to?
Bear.
Yes. Yes. Any more?
Ma'am, can we tell from fox to tiger and then tiger to lion, ma'am?
Always begin, food chain means begins with the producers. Not directly fox.
Yes, ma'am. After Hansini telling up to fox, ma'am, can we tell fox to tiger and then tiger to lion, ma'am?
Tiger cannot be eaten by lion. Go in the lion, tiger are a group of organisms.
Okay, ma'am.
Almost similar, no? Similar carnivores. We cannot
Yes,
give it as a food chain.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, any doubts still here?
Ma'am,
No,
can
ma'am.
we say for can we say earthworms to fish, and then fish will be eaten by lion or tiger
Yes.
or bear?
Plants to earthworms, because earthworms depend on soil, no?
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Soil, earthworms, earthworm fish, you can write it like that. And that is aquatic for food chain. But best stick on to terrestrial only. Either of these three give as an example. But please mention what is producer, what is primary consumer, secondary consumer, all this. Understood?
Yes, ma'am.
Next, going to the next slide. So these are the few examples you can note down. Grassland, pond, ocean. One or two you can note down.
Ma'am,
Yes, ma'am.
ma'am, the phytoplankton are the aquatic plants, no, ma'am?
Yes, aquatic plants.
Okay, ma'am.
Pond is algae. Over. Done. Yes, it's done.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Shall I move on to the next one?
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, why you have written two primary producers in this, ma'am, for trophic level?
Producers, primary, sometimes they may be secondary also. Okay. Like, what we can say, Sometimes there may be symbiotic relationship between algae and fungi. Okay. So we no need
Okay,
to
ma'am.
go in detail with them. We please only primary producers. That's all. We are not going to talk about secondary and all those here.
Okay, ma'am.
This is the significance of the food chains. Why we need to know about the food chains and why they are important in our ecosystems. So the study of food chains helps us to understand the food relationship and interactions among the various organisms in the ecosystem, and that there will be a transfer of energy and material between the various living components of the ecosystem. So the food chains transfer, again the same point was repeated, in the ecosystem or in the biosphere. The food chains usually are dynamic to the ecosystem, means they are the dynamics. They will be able to be based on this food chain only. Our ecosystem will be what type of ecosystem we are living in will be known. Movement of toxic substance like pesticides and all those also go through these food chains, and based on this we will be able to know how much harmful or pollutants are also present in our ecosystem. Okay. The second point was again repeated. Please don't write it as a second point. In the first point, please don't write this one. Understood? Done? All of you have written? Have you finished writing?
Ma'am,
Yes,
one
ma'am.
Done?
Yes, ma'am.
So with this, I'll stop the class because only we have very small topics left out for the next class. Or okay.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
And prepare for your exam very well. Write neatly and properly. Don't skip your questions. Write in a proper way for tomorrow's exam. Okay? And next, for the next class, be ready with your textbooks also. We'll be finishing the chapter as well as the questions.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, with this I'm concluding the class. Be well prepared.
Okay, ma'am.
Do well, all the best.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.